Today I'll be using the Porter cable 4216 to cut some half-blind dovetails. Now please remember, I am not sponsored by Porter cable. I am not saying that this is the only jig out there. There are plenty. This is just the one that I was able to afford at the time, and it works pretty good for me. This video is meant more to respond to one of our viewers than it is to promote any individual products. Thank you for watching. Okay, for the basic setup, I only have one router. My router comes in and out of my table all the time. Every time I need to go make dovetails and stuff like that, I have to pull the router out of my router table to be able to use it freehand. With that, some of my bits are a 1/4 inch shank and some of my bits are a 1/2 inch shank. Now with the Porter cable doing the half-blind dovetails and stuff like that, I have to switch out to a 1/2 inch shank. First thing you do is you make sure that your router is completely unplugged. Clear off the top. For this router here, there's a little push button to lock the actual chuck in place, and just put the shank on. Don't want to go all the way tight. For the half blinds, Porter cable, the set that I bought, has the numbers marked out. And this one here is a 4377 6PC. Now you want to check your owner's manual to figure out which bits go with which different style of dovetails that you're looking for. For me doing the half blinds, which is mostly what I do, this here is the bit that I use. Sink it all the way down and then bring it back up just a little bit, about a 1/4 inch. And then I'll tighten my blade, tighten the bit, tighten the chuck all the way down. Make sure it's nice and secure. For your guides, each bit, each different style of dovetails that you're doing or box joints that you're doing with this jig, there are different guides. Now this Porter cable here makes it real simple to figure out which one's which. You grab your guide, you check right next to it, and if you got a nice tug fit, that's the one that goes for that one. Take a look. One side does not have a groove. One side does have a groove. Threads go up, and this will sit nice and flush. Secure it tightly to the back. And then secure the base to the router. That there is your bit inside with the chuck, all ready to go. Now it's just time to make sure that we have it in proper place. With the template that comes with the Porter cable, it makes this real easy. With me bringing the router in and out all the time, this stop right here, I had to originally set up for the depth that I'm looking for to make sure it fits just right. So I'm going to use that stop, seeing I know it's right, to set this one up. Now I have two drawers that I'm going to be assembling today. As you can tell, I've already prepped the wood. I've already put the rabbet into the bottom of the wood. And yes, the rabbet goes all the way through. You will see a very tiny bit of it on the sides of the drawers. But how many people actually look inside the drawers? When you put the rabbet in like this, it gives me a really easy, kind of brainless method to putting the dovetails in, or I don't have to think about which ones go which way. Now my drawers aren't going to be perfectly square because I cut all of the wood to exactly the same size. That means I'll have a little bit extra because it's only half blind dovetails. If I was doing full dovetails, my drawers would be perfectly square, but they're cut to fit inside the box that I need them to fit. First step to setting up the jig and getting it in the right position, making sure everything is going to match up real nice. Take one of your pieces, set it in the top, the way up forward. Get it about centered. Put some good pressure down. And clamp it, and clamp the actual plate into place. It's a little tight, but the wood still moves freely. Using the same piece of wood, I'll come in from the bottom. At this point in time, I'll loosen up my edge guide. And slide over the piece of wood. Slide over the panel until I'm just about halfway in between each one. Lock that piece back down. Bring the edge guide over. And lock it in place. Same point in time. There's a little line right in here. This first one here is for half blinds. The second one up top is for full dovetails. I want to make sure that that lines up real nicely with the edge of the wood all the way down. If you need to adjust that, you're going to need to loosen yourself up on either side and move the jig forward a little bit through the back nuts here on either side, and then tighten yourself back down. Just make sure you don't raise or lower that panel, you're just bringing it forward or back. Now, whenever you're using the jig to do half blinds or doing drawers and stuff like that, the piece that goes on the top will always end up being your face plate. That's the one that's not going to be cut all the way through. It's only going to go through a little bit. The piece that is on the bottom are going to be your sides. You can see how I brought the face plate in and brought it up nice and close right up against my guide rail on the side. I brought it all the way up to where there is no groove. That line matches up perfectly just with the top of this one here, and then I clamp everything down. I know, safety, it's not everybody's favorite subject and stuff, and everyone thinks that they're the master of it. In my opinion, safety is in your own hands. For this, I will be and always do use a pair of safety glasses, because there are a lot of chips that are flying up, a pair of earmuffs, because using the router, it is quite loud, and something to cover my face to keep the dust from going into my lungs and going into my mouth, and I really don't like chewing on sawdust. So I need something to cover up my face, because this is going to throw a lot of wood chips. Now, when I prep the boards, I put the rabbet in on the side. Always want to make sure to have your rabbets lining up on the same side whenever you're cutting for the dovetails. They never want to be opposite. They always want to be on the same side. That kind of makes a lot of the guesswork out and stuff like that on if they're going to line up properly at the end and which panel is which. Now that we got everything all set up, everything's ready to go, it's time to do some cutting. You want to start from your far right side because of the orbital direction of the router and work your way to the left. Take yourself nice and slowly going in and out of each groove and making sure that the guide follows just right on each groove. And at this point in time, you will see completely why I use a face mask, eyeglasses, and hearing protection. Because this does make a little bit of a mess.
A little?
Now once you're done cutting your first set, you want to release your faceplate, bring it out, and just turn it right around. Bring it all the way up against the edge guide, come all the way up to your first board. We haven't touched that first board, all we've done is turn the faceplate around. You'll notice my rabbet has gone to the opposite side. Once you have that locked in place, you pull your side plate out, Put your next side plate in. Lining it up with the guide and the top up here. Lock it down. Make sure you're secure. And make sure that both your rabbets line up just right. If you have everything lined up just right, you're ready to start cutting again. You have your second cut done. You're going to swap out your faceplates. That faceplate is completely done. Go back to your beginning start. Bring your next faceplate in. Bring it up to the guide. I reverse my rabbets. I put it back to the original way. Lock it down. Take your side rail and just flip it right over. Right up against the guide and lock that one down. And you're ready to cut again. Just like you did after your first cut. Take your faceplate, turn it around. Lock it down. Bring in your original side rail. And here's your fourth and final cut. And that'll do it for making half-blind dovetails. Now, your first time setting up the jig, you're going to have to do some test pieces. Now, this process took me about an hour, and it was a lot of little fine-tuning to get the joints just where I want it. This gap right here is adjustable in the jig. If you've got too much space in here between your top and your bottom to where it's just floating apart and stuff, you bring your bit down a little bit more. You want to take a little bit more deeper of a cut. If this joint here is so tight that you can't put it together without breaking the pins and stuff like that, you want to take just a little bit less of a cut. It's a lot of fine tuning in that first setup. But once you get that set up and you get your stopper in place, just about every time I come out with beautiful dovetails for my drawers. I'm really happy with it.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I also hope you learned as much as I did today. If you have any other suggestions, please leave that in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and check out our Etsy page and our Facebook page in the description box below.